How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Crypto can and will fall down drastically at some point. There are going to be crashes in the future, and to be clear, they could happen sooner rather than later. It's a possibility. I want to talk about that possibility here today. I'm going to talk to you about why I'm still long-term bullish on crypto, but what I'm doing to set myself up so that way I can weather some of these big drawdowns. And actually, I'm setting something up for beginners to kind of help them out through these more turbulent times. We'll talk about that in future videos, but we're going to be going through what can happen in this market, what can happen like in terms of a price drawdown, what you should be watching for, how to set yourself up for success. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this one. Also, one of the platforms we're working with here, CoinW, you can sign up for underneath the video in case you want to leverage trade. This is something that is risky, but also you can get really good returns, and we have partnered up with them, so you get in on their free trading group. It's literally connected to your Telegram, and you can join their trading group if you use the link underneath the video to sign up with mine or with my link. You can get in and see what the professionals are doing for swing trading and day trading, so that way you don't get caught off guard, and you can trade and earn up to 55 Solana just through that link. It's not free, right? You pay small fees when you trade, and they're giving you some of those fees back in the form of Solana. So definitely check that out underneath the video. Obviously, we have seen a bit of a drawback recently, or drawdown. I see some people going full bear mode, thinking that this is the end of the line. I see some people saying, no, this is a perfect low dip to buy up. We have Bitcoin falling down about 16% from peak to bottom. And if you go to CoinMarketCap, we see the whole market dropping down to 3.3 trillion. This is much lower than where it was just a little while ago. You can see in the last 30 days, we were up around 3.8 trillion, now coming back down all the way down to 3.23. So we're obviously seeing some pretty big pullbacks in altcoins as well. And to be clear, I see some people saying we're going straight up from here. We're going straight up. We're going to Valhalla. You are dumb if you're not buying. You are stupid if you're not holding 100% Bitcoin. I've seen some posts like that, and I want to balance those out with the post saying we're going down to 10K. Or below 10K, that Bitcoin is trash. People are saying that too. Those are the two far ends of the spectrum. To be clear, I still like Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin a lot. We'll talk about that. But we can see significant drawdowns. I mean, take a look at the last bull market. This was around January. We started to rally into the end of the year, into January 9, and then saw a significant pullback. We went down about 31%. And then from there, had a massive run up of about 122%. That's almost exactly what we've gone up this year in Bitcoin. But from there, it's not all smooth sailing. In that same bull run, we went down 55%. And then we went back up over that amount. So there's huge volatility in Bitcoin. And to be clear, we can see a drop. Like some people are calling for the fact that, we could see a retest, or we could see a drop all the way down to maybe 73, 74,000. This is the point of previous resistance. We could continue down to that point and then move up and then still look really bullish for the bull run. We could still see a drawdown just like we saw here, right? We went from bear market lows, kind of grinded up, drop down, grinded up, drop down, grinded up, drop down, grinded up to 48,000, 50,000, and then fell back down a decent amount, 20% plus, went all the way up to 73, then came back, flipped resistance into support, and then continued to rally up. We could see the same thing, to be clear. What would that look like from here? Well, it would liquidate a lot of longs. It would bring us down another 20%. From the peak, that would bring us down about 31%. So a very similar drawdown to what we saw in the last bull market. Keep in mind that happened over about 2.5 weeks. This, if it played out the same way, would put us around that price in the next few days, like next week. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. And I see some people saying, no, we're going straight up from here. To be clear, anything's on the table. I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin, but you have to be ready for drawdowns. You have to be ready for anything because that oftentimes happens in bull markets. And if you look at alts, like they can be slashed by 50%, 80% plus. XRP is down about 30% from just a few weeks ago. So you have to be able to withstand this volatility. Now, I'm still really bullish on Bitcoin, as I've said a lot. I think it is a very hard asset. There's a set amount. There's increasing productivity all around the world with AI. There's increasing printing, money printing all across the world. We're going to a time of higher liquidity, lower rates. We have politicians that are continuously talking about buying Bitcoin. We have corporations that are buying it hand over fist. We have banks now that can start custodying it. We have change in accounting rules. So I don't have to keep on going on and on, but the amount of buyers that are coming into this market is insane. I think, though, we do see pretty normal pullbacks, even during bull markets. So this is healthy. This flushes out some of the excess leverage. This flushes out some of the moon boys. This flushes out the people that have weak hands. And to be clear, we are nowhere near overvalued if you look at just a logarithmic chart. Bitcoin is actually, and crypto, it's actually undervalued right now, 99% versus the fair valuation. So I don't think have touched the top of this bull market. If you look at back in 2019, the pi cycle top indicator was created and basically used the last three cycles, 2017, 2013, I guess the last two cycles at that point, to determine when we were going to see a top. And it was within 3 days of the pi cycle top indicator that we did hit a top in 2021. We are nowhere near it now. So this is one of the best indicators. Some people are using it as their only indicator. I'm using it as one of the indicators for the top of the bull market. If you look at just a lot of different risk metrics, we're not close to a top, at least compared to previous cycles. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't fall down. And to be clear, this is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. We have some of the smartest people. We have some of the biggest players coming into the space. So there's going to be a lot of manipulation. There's going to be a lot of news articles, which there already have been. There's going to be leverage wipeouts. There's going to be all kinds of games played because this is very high stakes. This is for possibly the future of the world's reserve currency. Like, this really matters. So you are playing with the big boys now. There's going to be all types of games played, but you do not want to be fooled. You don't want to be fooled. What have I done? Well, I made it pretty clear at the beginning of the year that I stopped buying and accumulating right around the halving. Now, there are several reasons for that. I actually don't have the chart pulled up that shows when we typically, I don't have the spiral chart pulled up, but typically it's a good time to be buying ahead of the halving year or ahead of the halving. Then typically we hit all-time highs for a while, maybe another year and a half after the halving, and then we go into a bear market. So I said that I was going to accumulate up to that point. I swallowed up a lot of Bitcoin throughout this whole bear market. Swallowed up, I don't know if that's the right way to put it. I bought a lot of Bitcoin throughout the entire bear market. I said before the halving started that I was going to stop buying around the halving or at the halving. So I stopped. It was actually pretty unfortunate timing because we did go a little bit lower, but I did trade around this time period. But the majority of my Bitcoin was bought in this time period ahead of when there was BlackRock and Fidelity swallowing up a bunch of Bitcoin, ahead of a lot of the recent MicroStrategy buys. And then I've just been sitting on my hands. Part of that is I had a very large allocation to Bitcoin, and I just want to balance out my portfolio. Now, I'm in a different place than you're in. So we all have different risk tolerances. We all have different portfolios, timelines, and stuff like that. I knew that I was going to buy heavily throughout this bear market. I know that my job and my income is very tied to crypto and how crypto does. I get more views, I get more sponsorships, that kind of stuff, if crypto does well. So even if the bull market continues, I'll be just fine. I'll sit on my hands for a while, and I haven't sold any Bitcoin. I have taken small profits from trading positions and from an altcoin or a couple altcoins here and there, but the majority of my bag I'm still holding. Now, for you might be different. Maybe you don't have a large enough allocation to Bitcoin. Maybe you're like 5% Bitcoin and you want to get heavier into it and you need time to dollar cost average. Okay, great. Well, you probably won't be looking back 10 years from now saying, I wish I hadn't bought Bitcoin at 100,000. Right? You're probably going to be just fine. If you're looking at it saying, hey, I need this money next year, like at the end of 2025, maybe I should buy some Bitcoin. I think that is a bad idea. Not that Bitcoin won't do well, it probably will, and you'll look back wishing you had bought more, but your timeline is not long enough. If you try to buy now and then we see a dip, maybe we dip down to 73K, and you see it hit 85 and then 80, and you need this money for something, you were earmarking it for a home purchase or a car or something like that, you're probably going to sell at a bad time. Like you're going to sell when there's peak fear in the market. You're going to get your Bitcoin taken away from you. It's going to go into BlackRock's hands or MicroStrategy's, and you're going to see a 20% drop, 30% drop, and then we're going to recover. That's often what happens if you don't come at this market from a position of strength. So focus on that. Like if you're worried about this 18, 17% drop, it's normal. If this is your first rodeo, if you bought it at 108, I saw someone saying, you told me to buy at 108. I don't tell anyone to buy. I do say though, if you're looking to dollar cost average over time, or if you're looking to get into this market, it's never a bad time to dollar cost average, really. Even if you dollar cost average at the top of the bull market, even if you do that, as long as you're not lump summing a ton of cash and putting more in all the time, that's why I advise against don't go on 100x leverage if you don't know what you're doing. Don't continue to ramp up your purchases bigger and bigger and bigger throughout the bull market. Like the time to buy is when there's fear. There does seem to be some fear right now. And if you can just dollar cost average, let's say you make $500, let's say you have $500 a week to invest into something. Maybe you set yourself up to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin every single week. Now, could you buy more? Yes. If you bought more though, would you be able to psychologically take the ups and downs? Right? That's the question you have to ask yourself. If you bought less, would you FOMO and then try to buy in at the worst time in the market? You have to look at yourself hard in the mirror and say, what kind of volatility can I handle? Can I handle this going down 50%? Is my timeline at least 3 or 4 years to the point that I don't need to sell at any one specific time if we see a dip? Then yeah, dollar cost average. Knock yourself out. We might not get down to these levels. Like, to be clear, if the US announces that they are going to buy Bitcoin or that we're creating a strategic reserve, who knows if we get down to 92,000 again. I know that sounds crazy, but it's impossible to know, right? Like, again, if you have massive corporations, massive countries buying Bitcoin consistently, you just don't know when you're going to get back at some of these prices, right? Like, what kind of fear would have to happen? Let's say we go up to 250K. We see a 60% drawdown. That's still 100K Bitcoin. So what has to happen at that point if nations are buying? There would have to be some massive event that scares the market, something that you're not going to be able to see coming. But I think, my plan is basically to continue what I'm doing, right? Continue to measure out my own risk tolerance, make sure that I am comfortable with the drawdowns. Like, I am not worried. I'm not thinking about how I want to sell my Bitcoin because it's gone down 17%. The only question is, do I start dollar cost averaging again at some point if we continue to see dips? And as time goes on, that will continue to be what I do. When we see a big drop in the market at some point, when we see a juicy 30, 40, 50% drop, I'll come at the market from a position of strength, knowing that I've stored up some cash, that I've diversified outside of crypto, and then I'll see that Bitcoin has had a pretty juicy drop. I'm going to dollar cost average again until we start moving up. That is typically what I do. But you have to make your own decisions. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Let me know if this is how you approach the market or if I'm missing something, if you think that I could do better. Also, there is the link to CoinW underneath the video in case you want to take advantage of those professional traders that literally will tell you what they're doing on a daily basis, and you have access to them with that second link. The first link is to actually sign up for the platform, which you need to verify that you're on the platform with my affiliate link before you can get in on that trading group. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.